What is up, sexy beast? Bald avid checkers player here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the PDW and putting it up against the WEEVIL and seeing which is the better weapon to have. So let's get this shit started. Yada yada yada, you know the deal. I'm letting you guys watch, listen both weapons, see which one you guys like. Here you go. So when it comes to looks and sounds, I definitely prefer the WEEVIL on this one. The PDW, kind of sounds good and looks pretty cute, but I definitely prefer how the WEEVIL sounds. It just has that sound, I don't know how to describe it, but it's pleasant to my ears, and that's all I really care about is which one I just prefer, and I definitely do like the WEEVIL a little bit more. So now before we do get on to the comparisons, let me give you guys a little bit of background information about these weapons. So neither of these weapons are really based off of real weapons, they're kind of based off of like a bunch of different weapons combined. The PDW is not a real weapon, instead PDW stands for Personal Defense Weapon, which is really any small submachine gun or compact rifle. It seems to me, just by the way they look, that both these weapons are based off of the P90, and the P90 is a Belgian-made weapon. It started its production in 1990, I would guess that's why they called it the P90, and entered service in 1991, and is used by a lot of different countries. It's been in service in over 40 nations, and here's a couple of them just to name them: Austria, Brazil, Canada, France, Greece, India, Malaysia, Poland, and in the US. The US, over 200 law enforcement agencies actually do use this weapon, so the P90 has seen a lot of use. It also shoots an FN 5.7 by 28mm, which is a pretty decent round. Now the real P90 that you probably use in games and everything is a Select Fire SMG. Now there are a lot of different versions of the P90. You got the P90 TR, the P90 USG, and the P90 Lazarix models. You also have a couple semi-automatic models. You got the PS90 Standard, the PS90 TR, and the PS90 USG. So this weapon seems to be a very popular gun all around the world, and I'm not gonna lie, ever since, it was in Modern Warfare 2, I kinda really want one. And if you guys have ever shown up to any of my live streams where I'm using modded weapons, if the P90's in there, 9 times out of 10, I usually really want to play with it. So with all that said and done, let's go ahead and get into these comparisons. If I line them up side by side and I start shooting at the exact same time, they're pretty much gonna have almost the exact same fire rate. They have a magazine size of 50, and I mean, if you go frame by frame, the WEEVIL is not even like half a second faster, so they basically have the same exact fire rate, which is kind of weird because on paper that does not seem to be the case, but in reality that's going to be the case. So first round, they're going to go ahead and be tied across the board. Next up, let's take a look at accuracy. When it comes to accuracy, this is hip fire and recoil. The PDW, in my opinion, is definitely going to be the winner. The WEEVIL, it's got some recoil. It's not as bad as like a lot of other weapons in zombies, but you definitely do have to fight against that recoil. It's going to go straight up. At least it's not going left and right, so it's a lot more predictable. But the PDW kind of just does the same thing. It goes straight up a little bit. You do have a little bit of left and right, but I don't think it's going to impact you as much as it would the WEEVIL. And if we're talking about hipfire, you don't even have any recoil with the PDW. Its hipfire is pretty much going to be right on point. While with the WEEVIL, you are still going to have some pretty ridiculous recoil, and it's going to go straight up. The PDW doesn't really move whatsoever. It has a really nice tight grouping, so if you're trying to hipfire or you're trying to EDS, I would much rather do it with the PDW than I would with the WEEVIL. Next up, before we upgrade both these weapons, let's go ahead and take a look at the reload speed. And if I start reloading at the exact same time, the WEEVIL is going to be, I would say, about half a second quicker. If you were able to use both these weapons in the same game, I don't think you would notice it, unless you're about ready to die. Like if you're in that life or death situation, I definitely think you would notice it, but if you're just fucking around, sitting on the catwalk or something, I don't think you would ever really notice a difference. But the WEEVIL does have a faster reload speed and ties it up. They each have 1 point and are tied on fire rate. Now let's go ahead and take a look at these upgraded versions and really see what all changes once you pack a bunch of them. So the PDW, or the Powdered Dickwagon 57, is going to hold 50 in its magazine and 200 in stock. And once you actually do upgrade this thing to the Predictive Death Wish 57,000, it's going to get a damage increase, its fire rate is going to stay the same, its magazine size will also stay the same, but it will get some more ammo in stock. Instead of carrying 200, it now carries 350, which is going to be a pretty decent amount. It's definitely better than a lot of Black Ops 1 weapons, but it's by no means like the ammo god that the WEEVIL is. So the WEEVIL, or an upgrade to the Barrage, is going to get a damage increase, its fire rate is going to stay the same, its magazine size is going to increase from 50 to 100, which is pretty badass for an SMG, not gonna lie. It used to carry 350 in stock, and now it carries 500 in stock. So it definitely does carry a lot more ammo than the PDW. The unupgraded Weevil carries the same amount of ammo as the upgraded PDW. That's not good. If you're trying to sell the PDW to somebody, you're trying to get a buyer, this is one of those things that you just don't talk about and that you definitely leave out, because that's pretty embarrassing. And I can't give the PDW too much shit because there's like a lot of other weapons in zombies that just carry virtually no ammo, and I will gladly throw shade at them any day of the week. So now that we have both these weapons upgraded, let's go ahead and redo all those tests over again and see really what all changes. So when it comes to fire rate, neither of these two weapons had a fire rate increase once you upgrade them, so when it comes to this, they're going to be the exact same. Now I did have to sit there for a couple seconds and unload 50 shots from the Weevil just to equal the PDW, and that just really made me think just how great it is to have 100 rounds in an SMG. I think the Weevil needs a little bit more credit for that, because when you're playing zombies and you have 100 rounds in an SMG, that's like some LMG type numbers. That's really, really good. And next up, when it comes to accuracy, this is going to be the same as the unupgraded versions. The PDW is going to be a very, very accurate weapon. It's going to go right where you want it to go, virtually no recoil. It does have some, but it's very, very little and easy to maintain. And when it comes to hipfire, it's going to go exactly where you want it. You really don't have too much of a spread. It's nice, tight, and compact. While with the Weevil, it's kind of like the Wild West. It's going to really do whatever it wants. You're its bitch, not the other way around. And it's going to have some pretty mean recoil. It's going to go straight up, and it's not really going to care. So if you're trying to hit a zombie from long distance, that's really not going to happen, and you might as well just give up on that idea. And if you try to ADS and or hipfire, you will have to fight against that recoil. So when it comes to accuracy, I would much rather have the pedo donkey wheel than the Weevil. And lastly, before we take a look at both these weapons on round 50, let's go ahead and see what the reload speed is going to be like, and it's going to be the same as the unupgraded versions. The Weevil is going to be like a half a second faster. Nothing really changed there. So we're going to go ahead and start off and take a look at the PDW on round 50 and see what exactly it can do. So the last time I really used the PDW on round 50 was like back in 2015. I think that was like when the original video for the PDW came out. And back then, I wasn't really impressed with the PDW. I didn't think it could do that much. I considered it an average weapon, and after reusing the PDW on round 50, I would probably boost it up a little bit from an average weapon. I think as long as you're going for headshots, you could probably take out a pretty decent amount. Nothing up there with like the ICR, the Drake, and the Kar 98, the PM63. Nothing up there with those numbers. I feel like if you gave it the Weevil's type of ammo situation, it would be a much better weapon, but by the time you injure the zombies enough to where you can really start killing them a lot faster, you're going to run out of ammo, and I just really wouldn't recommend the PDW for a high round situation. Now, early rounds, it's an amazing weapon. It carries a lot of ammo. 50 in the magazine is very, very good for an unupgraded weapon. The PDW, I would definitely recommend on early rounds. It's a good point weapon. It's an all-around great gun, and I would definitely recommend it, but as you start to get set up and as you start to get other weapons, definitely toss that shit aside and go grab a real gun. Now, if we take a look at the Weevil, I'm basically going to tell you the same exact thing. I would not recommend this thing for high rounds. Early to mid rounds, it's a great weapon. Grab it every time, especially once you get this thing upgraded. It carries 100 in its magazine. Like, I can't describe the erotic feeling every time I upgrade that PDW. It's just so badass with that 100 round magazine. You won't ever have to fucking reload. It's got a pretty decent fire rate, and it carries a lot of ammo. It's an amazing weapon for early to mid rounds, especially for point whoring. It's mainly your point whore weapon. I would not rely on this thing to save my ass whatsoever, and because of all the ammo that this thing does carry, it's still going to hold up once you get to the mid rounds, and I would definitely recommend it for that. But once you start to notice this thing just not really do as much damage as it used to, that's probably the point that I would trade it out for something else, because by then, you're going to have so many points that the Weevil really won't even make a difference, and that's the point that I would trade out this gun. So if you were to ask me which weapon would I prefer on high rounds, I would definitely choose the Weevil, just because it's going to carry a lot more ammo, and that 100 round magazine, it just tickles me all over, so I would definitely choose the Weevil for both early and late rounds. Now, late rounds, I really, in reality, I wouldn't have either one. They're not that good. But if you were to put a gun to my head and make me choose, I would definitely choose the Weevil. So let me know what you guys think down below. Which one do you guys prefer more? Not which one do you guys think is better, just which one do you guys happen to like more, the PDW and or the Weevil? Let me know down below in the comments. And also, while you're down there, make sure you check out all the links in the description. One of them is a link to my Patreon. My Patreon supporters are awesome, and I love them. I tell you guys this all the time. I fucking love them, and I wouldn't even say no homo. That's how much I love my Patreons. I'm down for some bro jobs every single day. So thank you to all my supporters on Patreon. I love you guys. Thank you guys for all your support. And also follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch. I'm starting to stream more over on Twitch, so follow me on that. And also Twitter and Instagram if you want to keep up to date with me. And that's going to be it. Hopefully you guys have a fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.